Hey everyone, welcome back to our channel. If you're new here, please subscribe. I'd really love that if you're returning. How you doing today? Well, before we get started, if you haven't signed up for our newsletter yet, please do. It's not too late for September, and we're already working on our October newsletter. So it's going to be really awesome. And as always, get your coffee, maybe some chocolate, because you just never know with me. And also, I got a package in the mail. I'm so excited. So let's open this up and then we'll get to talking, because we always got to have coffee talk around here. So, lots of tape. Lots of tape. What the heck? And this package came all the way from the UK. Oh, she put a card in here. Gypsy. It's my nickname, in case not a lot of people know that. I should read the date differently. Okay, I'll read that in a minute, just in case you put anything personal in there. You know, I don't want to. Oh boy. Okay, cat treats. Oh, okay. Here's some cat food. It's the wet cat food. Smackaroos. Oh, this is dog. Okay. Dog food. Gourmet chicken liver. Cat food. Interesting. Dog treats. Oh. Milk chocolate tea cakes. Vietnamese swirls. I love it. Mr. Kipling. Ooh, Cadbury. Love Cadbury. Fruit and nut mix. And then, ooh, she sent me more artwork. Now this is the one that made the artwork, and I had showed you guys the last time, and it was, she had gorgeous artwork. So look at this, all done by colored pencil, all of it. I mean, it's just amazing. Is that not beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. Amanda, thank you. I love it. So, thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate every time you guys send me something in the mail. It's like Christmas. It really is. Or my birthday. But I wanted to share with you, you guys, what she sent me. So anyway, I wanted to get into this. I had done a video yesterday on Bosnia, right? And what one man went through, okay? Now, this was sent to me by a subscriber, and this was the same man, okay? His name is Selko, Selco, Begovic, Begovic. Okay, and he was interviewed, okay, by someone by the name of the Organic Prepper, and I wanted to read to you what was said. I will also obviously leave the link for you, you know, because I feel that, you know, you guys should have your references, and plus, you know, also give credit where credit is due. You know, I always do that. So this is how it starts. I was recently emailing back and forth with Selco, and we were discussing the situation in the U.S. right now. But this was actually written in 2019. But it's still, I feel, it was November of 2019. I feel it resonates today. Okay. And we were discussing the situation in the U.S. right now with the political polarization, the rage, and the general cognitive dissonance. I asked him if he saw any similarities between our situation and the one in Bosnia when SHTF during the war. And he replied, I knew I had to share this information with you. While we might not like to think it could ever happen here, the current events here are eerily similar to what happened over there in the 1990s. When you read this, think about recent events. Now, the recent events, you know, obviously is 2019, but let's try and pinpoint, okay, and think about the recent events of today, okay? The deep rage about the last presidential election, the upcoming one, the scorn, derision, and the actual hatred for neighbors who think differently. Okay, well, election aside, because that's done and over with, let's think about how we have, I don't want to use the word hatred because that's a strong word, okay? But the division between us and family members, or us and neighbors, or us and friends, due to not wanting to receive a certain, okay? So, because they think differently, they have different opinions, they have different ways of thinking, they have, you know, we're over here and they're way over there when it comes to different sides of the spectrum. And the way the media fans the flames of dissent between our fellow Americans, the anger about immigration. Okay, well, the immigration, notice how the border, we're no longer worrying about that. What we're focusing on now are the Afghans and, you know, how they're being brought over. If you've noticed that. Shiny object. Let's not worry about what's going over here. Let's look at what's going over here now. How many times have I said that in previous videos on my other channel? Shiny object, shiny object. The destruction of the Civil War monuments, remember when all that was going on, especially down here in the South, they were ripping those down left and right in front of every courthouse, in every park. Oh, Madonna me, when I tell you, just because you rip down a statue does not change the past. It really doesn't. I'm not even going to get into that. I'm not doing it. The unease between the races. So, but until And I've said this, I don't know how many times, until people realize there's only one race. Only one. You know what? You know what it's called? The human race. There's only one race. Yeah, there's only one. Okay? You'll realize that it definitely can happen to us. And there's not one darn thing we can do except to be prepared. And it's dead on balls accurate, 100% right there. Dead on balls, right there. So her first question to Selko was, what parallels do you see with the events in the U.S. and Bosnia before SHTF? He said, the U.S. and Yugoslavia in 1990, on first look, do not have anything in common because people are going to say the U.S. cannot have anything similar in any socialistic system. This is true, but only on first look. Yugoslavia had somewhere around 20 to 22 million citizens, 6 republics similar to states in the U.S., 3 to 4 main religions, and many national groups, ethnicities. Okay. The official state policy was to build Yugoslavian nationality from the end of World War I, and through different ways that effort was successful until the 90s. We were something big, united through differences with a strong connection to make something big, and then those differences were used to make chaos. In the late 80s and beginning of the 90s, when democracy came, the problems started and ended up in series of wars and cases of complete collapse. Things that I experienced in my case prior to SHTF and things that you might recognize. Things that make differences between people are more and more problematic. Race, religion, political opinion. We've seen it, right? Polarization is getting obviously stronger. Yeah. People want to come to your country, but they do not want to assimilate or contribute to the greater good. What are we saying right now? They want to preserve their way of life, which is often absolutely contradictory to the way that your country or society works. Oh, right? The political way of solving those problems often fails because, in essence, those problems are hard to solve in a democratic way in the spirit of democracy. Your freedoms are shrinking as a result of that. Calls for radical solutions for the problems are stronger and stronger. The media is absolutely working a dirty job, and it is hard to find out what the truth is anymore. So what happens? No one watches the news. Instead, you guys come here and watch me. You'll watch Jason. You'll watch Pinball. You'll watch Prepper Nurse 1. You'll watch Patriot Nurse. You'll watch us to find out the non-biased truth, unsugar-coated news. Tell me I'm wrong. So suddenly, people and events from history are brought back so people can judge and argue about it, to write history again, to build myths sometimes. Here's another question. Can you explain how the current political polarization can make matters worse when SHTF? Strong polarization eventually brings fear and hate towards others. And once you get into that state of fear and hate, it is very easy to be manipulated, even though prior or later it looks weird and funny how easily you were brought into that state. I remember the exact moment, roughly 25 years ago, when I was brought in discussion and actually rioting over the statue of a general from World War II, which was about to be destroyed because for some reason he was a war criminal, and for others he was a hero and an important political figure. It was a big event, and people were brought into that event in big numbers, arguing and fist fighting and rioting. At the same time, the wheels of big events were actually already starting to move. And if I were smart, I would have left the country or bought a weapon instead of fighting over a historical figure. Does that sound familiar? It was only one event that was used in order to polarize people more. Us and them. It is so easy to manipulate people when you throw hate and fear in the game. Polarization makes things worse when SHTF, because it is easier to dehumanize others that are different than you. And what's going on right now? They're dehumanizing the ones that won't get it. Through the fear and hate, groups are pushed to do whatever the people in power want them to do, even if that means horrible crimes. Remember, once some group of people, religion, political, regional race is dehumanized, for example, through smart media work, the rules are changing and everything is possible. Oh, you gee whiz, do you think? For example, with careful media work, even today, in the time of the internet, social networks, and independent information, like independent fact checkers, you mean? It is possible to make the prepper movement look like a terroristic and anarchistic movement, and then it's open season on preppers. Gee whiz, do you think that's happening? Look at all the channels that are being taken down and strike. Okay? So, next question. Did political disagreements go away when it hit the fan, or did they intensify? In essence, yes. They went away because it all went to how much food, ammo, or whatever resource you had. You realized that big opinions simply do not matter, especially once when you realized that all was somehow planned, and especially once when you realized how foolish you were because you trusted some things. But of course, rage was fed with, again, fear and hate for others. It's like that story about how they tried to plan to a conscript someone who was drafted into the military. What is war all about? Higher causes and honor and everything else, and he simply could not get it. Then later in the middle of a fight, he suddenly understands everything and yells, "Oh, I understand now. They're trying to kill me." When you strip everything down to the bare facts, he was right. So next question. How does it move from political arguments to one day it has all hit the fan and everything has changed? Is there something predictable we could look for? Again, it's about dehumanization, no matter who or what group. It is about adopting opinions like they're so different. They do not deserve to live here, to have rights, to this, to that. Gee whiz. You think they're doing that now? Let's discuss that. What do you think? Once that happens, a whole new set of rules jumps in, and all those rules that mean all of your liberties and rights are going to be taken too. And that is the problem, actually. When that happens, you will understand that it is not really important who is who. The only thing important is that somehow you do not have your rights anymore. For example, the right to carry a firearm. And then you are in shite. You can be so mesmerized with important political events or something else that you might not even notice that you are suddenly not allowed to grow your own food or have a solar panel on the roof or carry a pistol. You might say now it is impossible to be in the U.S., but I think in this moment it is bigger news than if some reality show star had spicy video than to understand how food delivery in your city works and how much food is in one average store as everything stops moving. Like right now, the biggest story going on with celebrities is Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez and how they're back together. Shiny object. Yes, it's possible because it's going on right now. So which events in the U.S. have you seen that made you immediately flash back to your situation? I do not follow politics too deeply, even in my country, not to mention politics in the U.S., but what I do follow is people's reaction to political events. By that, you can sense where the majority of people's opinions go and what you can expect from them. Maybe a year ago, I did comment through an article on some events in the U.S., and I got an excellent comment from one of my readers who said, "My nation, America, is being abruptly dragged out of a deep and prolonged state of subconscious anxiety and depression. It is being assaulted with hope, and this is the beginning to produce a state of relief, which will be managed into uncritical nationalism, if at all possible. This euphoric state of national mind is the perfect cover from which to ambush a nation. The pressing for a one-world government did not die under Trump. It is simply a new face. The danger to America and to the other nations of the world is more real now than ever. Extreme sobriety is warranted at this time. Most people I have spoken with cannot see this. Hope in something new and something better was actually what I was experiencing just prior to SHTF. New leaders, new democracy, freedom. It clouded my perception. I trusted too much. Now, what suggestions, if any, do you have to help us better prepare for political upheaval? As always, operate in small circles. Your family, prepper group, network of friends. Learn useful skills. Meet good and interesting people in prepper terms. That small circle is what it's all about and what is important when SHTF. Sorry, but your political opinion and worries about state policies are worthless. Yeah. And cannot change anything big. It is the big circle. And it is important only in terms of looking and recognizing signs of future events, so you may recognize the correct moment for bugging out. For example, do not be pulled into general fear and hate because it clouds your judgment and it simply wastes your time. Do not be pulled into it. So then they ask, do people start to realize that their opinion means nothing in politics, or do they still hang on to their illusions even after it goes sideways? Illusions were the first victims when SHTF. Here are a few of many. There are police. This cannot happen. There is law. This is against the law. Sorry. Actually, the police are police when the system works. When it does not work, the police are just a bunch of trained people with weapons. And it is completely up to them what they're going to do. The next one, I have rights. Yeah, when there's a system and law to protect those rights. If you want to have rights when SHTF, you have to be ready to protect them. Here's another one. I have a gun and a lot of ammo. I will firmly stand my ground. Good luck with that. There is a huge number of people already organized in violent groups, ready and skilled in violence, who wait for the system to collapse and to jump in. People with more guns, more ammo, more skills than you, and less morals and ethics. You need to lower your expectations. And here's another one. This kind of chaos cannot happen here in the U.S. We have the best political system in the world. Wow. Do we? This is my favorite, actually, because in my case, the shit did hit the fan. And for some period of time, I was repeating this to myself, and even more. Something like this can actually happen in some country in Africa, not here. Somebody going to stop this. It can happen, and actually, it would be very bad because fall is going to be bigger. It is going to hurt much more, and people are going to be shocked even more. And then she asks, is there anything else to add? I have seen many people killed, a lot of women and children too, civilians. A huge number of people suffered, were hungry and cold and terrified through that period. But I can count on one hand the dead or hungry politicians in that time. Things were good for them through that period. Some of them even ended up richer. A lot of them are still powerful in that same or different parties and are still talking about their people or causes or fear from others. It is the way it works. So, I will leave this link in the description box below for you. I'm sorry this video is a little long, but this was very important. All right, guys, I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe, stay positive, keep prepping, and as always, fearless. Ciao.